most welcome to Historiespanen, history, concepts and some old school cartography. We will take you back to the 1950s when maps were created without the support of computers and GPS. Just a lot of skilled hands, hard work, and the technology available 70 years ago. And please, like, share and subscribe. It means a lot to us.
A bewildered motorist pulls into a filling station. He wants to know the best way to get where he's going. And part of the service he expects is an up-to-date road map. Without it, today's motorists would be quite literally lost. The basic idea of mapping is simple. It depends on an endless series of observations and measurements, like those made by surveyors measuring distance and direction from point to point. But there are newer and faster ways to do much of the work these days, as we're about to see in this report on industry's contributions to the vital business of mapping the Earth. The work of converting the measurements and observations into meaningful symbols also has been speeded. Its accuracy improved by techniques employed at firms like H.M. Goucher Company in San Jose, California. Since outdated maps aren't of much use, except to historians, corrections must be made constantly on the basis of information received from dozens of sources. Teams of researchers are kept busy revising even the simplest maps for oil companies, bus lines, local and state governments, and all the other customers who each year buy and distribute maps by the hundreds of thousands. Here in the drafting department, the changes and the older landmarks are inscribed in more finished manner on sheets of plastic, coated with various colors. Each color has a meaning: green for parks, blue for water, and so on. Ever wonder how they could print those tiny street names on maps, especially with the streets running every which way? No trick to it at all. Just lay in the names on a large-scale map and reduce them to the proper size by the photographic process. One of the tools for indicating topographical features, like mountains or valleys, is the airbrush. Finally, the completed work, after thorough checking and rechecking for accuracy, is placed in the hands of the photographer, who will prepare separate negatives for each of the colors to appear in the finished map. In order to keep the different colors and the different sections of each map in perfect register, so they won't overlap, it's necessary to have the subject lined up perfectly before the exposure is made. After exposure, all the negatives must be retouched by hand to sharpen lines and intensify hues before the job can be made into plates for the printing shop. Now they're finished at last. Maps by the thousands, accurate, informative, and almost as current as the daily newspaper.
Sometimes, however, printing is only an intermediate stage, as in this department of Rand McNally in Skokie, Illinois. Here, map sections are prepared for mounting on globes, which eliminate much of the distortion found in many flat projections of large areas, while also making geography easier to visualize. The sections are called gores. A special paper on which the gores are printed permits them to assume the contour of the globe without noticeable loss of geographical accuracy. The globes onto which they are glued are made variously of plastic, steel, or glass. These are plastic. Now, to protect the globe against moisture, scratches, and other wear and tear, each globe is given a smooth, even coat of varnish. Today, there's a globe for everyone, starting with the simplest outlines for first graders. Some carry enough information to satisfy the fussiest of strategic military planners. The most spectacular advances in map-making techniques are based on the products of the photographic industry. The lenses and related equipment now being turned out make it possible for us to photograph the Earth with extreme clarity from extremely high altitudes. This piece of glass will help pick out an Army tank from 7 miles away. For work like that, the glass has to be perfect. In use, aerial cameras give us not only the clearest view ever obtained of familiar spots, they also let us study vast areas never before mapped at all. And they let us do the work in a matter of minutes, mapping work that once would have taken years. One new development, carried to vastly more sophisticated levels than we see here, makes it possible to map continuous strips from coast to coast at supersonic speeds. The strip we see is being used as a reference for a series of aerial maps in 3D. To view the three-dimensional result, two negatives made from slightly different positions will be superimposed to form a single picture in a device known as a Kelch plotter. One transparency will be projected in red, another in blue. When the operator views them through a pair of glasses with one red lens, one blue, he'll see an image with depth, on which contours may be plotted based on known elevations. As the controls are manipulated, the technician is able to discern and trace the lines of equal elevation, creating a topographic map. Later, with the help of a planimeter, it's even possible to figure the volume of hills that stand in the way, let's say, of a new highway, telling how much rock will have to be removed. Relief maps now are mass-produced with the help of the same three-dimensional photographic techniques. Based on stereo pictures and ground surveys, they start as clay models of the various terrain features, with each mountain being built by hand here at Aero Service Corporation in Philadelphia. When finished, the model can be reproduced in quantity by means of new techniques. After final approval of the clay map, it's submerged in liquid latex rubber, and after the rubber sets, it will be peeled off and used as a negative master from which another positive version of the map can be reproduced, this time in plaster. Here, the rubber is removed from the clay. Now they prepare to make still another reproduction, this time in plastic. A rigid sheet of vinyl is taped down airtight over the plaster model. When that's done, the vinyl will be heated to a semi-molten state. Then a vacuum will pull it down onto the plaster, filling every indentation. The heater is rolled into place. And watch now what happens when the vacuum is applied. Here we go. The heat is turned off, the heater rolled away, and the plastic map is ready for the addition of colors, place names, boundaries, and other details. For mass-produced maps, an aluminum mold is used, and the plastic is imprinted with lines, letters, and colors in advance.
Another kind of three-dimensional mapping is extending man's knowledge of the Earth far below its surface with the help of instruments like the geophone. They're distributed over an area potted with holes drilled to receive small charges of dynamite. When the explosive is detonated, the geophones pick up the sounds of the blast as transmitted directly through the ground and as reflected off bedrock below. The result is a seismographic chart. Later, when there's time for thorough study of the readings, they form the basis for maps that show us where to find minerals and oil. Maps that also are telling us the life story of the Earth. Even the composition and contours of the ocean bottoms are being revealed today with the help of research vessels that carry tons of scientific equipment. This one, the Wanderer, operated by the Sperry Gyroscope Division of Sperry Rand, is crammed with more electronic devices than you'll find on many ships, 10 times the size. Below decks, this is the master gyro compass that never deviates from true north and relays compass readings continuously to any number of repeaters scattered about the ship. By keeping themselves constantly oriented, the gyros serve in a way as replacements for the hills, mountains, and benchmarks, which help us find our way about the land. Indicators of rudder angle help too. Another aid to navigation is the Lorand. It's a device that measures the time it takes radio signals to reach it from shore. Thus, Lorand can tell where the ship is with startling accuracy, while helping at the same time produce better charts and maps. More evidence of industrial progress in helping us satisfy as never before our age-old curiosity about the world on which we live. New knowledge adds important new details to the portrait of planet Earth.
That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.